السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. النهاردة إن شاء الله هنشرح جزئية جديدة من Unit 1 Comparing two fractions of the same denominator. معاكم مس ولاء. يلا نبتدي مع بعض. Comparing two fractions of the same denominator. If the two fractions have the same denominator, then the fraction with the greater numerator is greater than the other fraction. For example, if I have two fractions 5 over 7 and 3 over 7, 5 over 7 and 3 over 7. As you see, the two fractions have the same denominator 7 and the two fractions have different denominator. What we do? Look at the numerator and the greater numerator is 5. The fraction which have the greater numerator 5 over 7 is more than the other fraction. Then 5 over 7 is more than 3 over 7. 5 over 7 is more than 3 over 7. Another type of comparing fractions, comparing two fractions of the same numerator. Comparing two fractions of the same numerator. If the two fractions have the same numerator, then the fraction with a smaller denominator is greater than the other fraction. Example, if I have two fractions 4 over 5 and 4 over 7. As you see, the two fractions have the same numerator. What we do? Look at the denominator. Which fraction have smaller denominator? Excellent, the first fraction. Then 4 over 5 is more than 4 over 7. 4 over 5 is more than 4 over 7. Let's take some exercise. Complete each of the following using less than, more than, or equal to. Example A. 1 over 5 or 2 over 5. As you see, the two fractions have the same denominator. What we do? Look at the numerator. And the fraction with the greater numerator is more than the other fraction. Then 2 over 5 is more than 1 over 5. 2 over 5 is more than 1 over 5. Second example, 6 over 11 or 8 over 11. As you see, the two fractions have the same denominator and the fraction with the greater numerator will be more than the other fraction. Then 8 over 11 is more than 6 over 11. Third example, 3 over 3 or 5 over 5. 3 over 3 equal 1 and 5 over 5 equal 1. Then the two fractions are equal. The two fractions are equal. 1 over 7 or 1 over 3. The two fractions have the same numerator. In this case, the two fractions have the same numerator. Look at the denominator. The fraction with the smaller denominator is more than the other fraction. The fraction with the smaller denominator is more than the other fraction. Which fraction has the smallest denominator? Excellent, the second fraction. Then 1 over 3 is more than 1 over 7. 1 over 3 is more than 1 over 7. Example B. 3 over 6 or 5 over 6. Excellent. 5 over 6 is more than 3 over 6 because 5 is more than 3. 5 is more than 3. Example E. 1 over 3 or 4 over 6. In this case, the two denominator are different and the two numerator are different. What we do? We must simplify 4 over 6. We divide the numerator 4 and the denominator 6 by 2. 4 divided by 2 equals 2 and 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Then 4 over 6 will be 2 over 3. Then 2 over 3 is more than 1 over 3. 2 over 3 is more than 1 over 3. Example H. 1 or 10 over 10. 1 or 10 over 10. If we divide 10 by 10, 10 divided by 10 equals 1. Then 1 equal 10 over 10. Example K. 8 over 25 or 8 over 13. 8 over 25 or 8 over 13. As you see, the two fractions have the same numerator. The two fractions have the same numerator. What we do? Look at the denominator. The fraction with the smaller denominator is more than the other fraction. Then the fraction with the denominator 13 is more than the fraction with the denominator 25. Then 8 over 13 is more than 8 over 25. Example C. 7 over 5 or 7 over 8. 7 over 5 or 7 over 8. As you see, the two fractions have the same numerator. Look at the denominator. We said before, the fraction with the smaller denominator is more than the other fraction. Then 7 over 5 is more than 7 over 8. 7 over 5 is more than 7 over 8. Example F. 5 over 7 or 15 over 21. 5 over 7 or 15 over 21. What we do? We must simplify 15 over 21. 15 over 21. We divide 15 and 21 by 3. 15 divided by 3 equals 5. And 21 divided by 3 equals 7. Then we can replace 15 over 21 by 5 over 7. Then the two fractions will be equal. The two fractions will be equal. Example I. 1 or 5 over 9. In this case, we can replace 1 by 9 over 9. We can replace 1 by 9 over 9. Then the two fractions have the same denominator 9, and we said before, the fraction with the greater numerator will be more than the other fraction. Then 9 over 9 is more than 5 over 9. Then 1 is more than 5 over 9. Last example, 8 over 3 or 8 over 5. In this case, the two fractions have the same numerator. The two fractions have the same numerator. What we do? We said before, if the two fractions have the same numerator, look at the denominator. And the fraction with the smaller denominator will be more than the other fraction. Then 8 over 3 is more than 8 over 5. 8 over 3 is more than 8 over 5. أتمنى أن تكونوا فهمتوا معايا الجزئية النهاردة بتاعت الكومبيرنج فراكشن، وإن شاء الله نتقابل تاني بجزئية جديدة هيكون عليها الدور اللي هي ordering fraction. أتمنى أن انتوا تكونوا فهمتوا معايا النهاردة. ما ننساش نعمل اشتراك في القناة ونفعل الجرس عشان يوصلنا كل فيديو جديد بإذن الله. كانت معاكم مس ولاء، واشوفكم على خير بإذن الله. مع السلامة.